Okay, I see things.
Okay. Yeah. Welcome to Quixotic Heights, where we explore bold lives, big ideas, and the beauty of becoming. I'm your host, Amy Emily, and today's Quixote is the brilliant and multifaceted Dr. Juliet Dang. She's a scientist by training, an artist by soul, a fashion designer by flair, which I'm happy to be wearing one of her fashion pieces. And she's a powerhouse behind Modern Asian Mom. She's also got a Vietology magazine. So I don't know what else can she do. We'll find out on this show. Juliet weaves together science, culture, motherhood, and creativity in a way that just is unapologetically modern, deeply rooted in identity. I recently had the pleasure of meeting her in person, and Juliet is just a beautiful, charming woman. So in today's conversation, we're going to talk about how she balances precision with passion, tradition with innovation, and how she's rewriting the narrative for modern Asian women everywhere. So, with that, welcome, Dr. Juliet Dang. How are you?
I am well, Amy. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
You're very welcome. It's a pleasure. So, tell us about your quixotic dream.
Oh, well, I think I don't remember what I wrote to you, but what I would love is to continue to have a voice within my community, outside of my community, and then along the way to help elevate those who don't normally have a platform. And I felt like I accomplished that or tried to accomplish that through my Vietology magazine. So I feel like there's just so much talent and skill and artistry and creativity that doesn't get to be showcased or seen. And I want to help uplift people and be able to amplify their work and their voices.
That's quite the dream. Where do you think that rooted from for you to want to do all that?
I think it's probably something that I myself saw as a struggle or a challenge throughout perhaps some of my endeavors or goals in life. So, for example, if it's like becoming a doctor or a dentist, and that's like the Asian parent's dream, right? But then there's still like not a whole lot of women, Asian women, representing these fields. And so trying to break through into that is there's obviously obstacles and challenges and work that has to be done. And
Mhm.
then, so that's like the academic side or the scientific world. And even with like scientists and research, I feel like I would love to see more representation for Asian women in STEM and even at leadership roles. And that could even link to leadership roles in corporate,
Mhm.
right? And so it's like breaking that mold or that glass ceiling or just trying to really have that representation. And then for the other side of it, like perhaps my more creative side, the world of art or fashion or film,
Mhm.
I feel like there's been a lot of trailblazers that have come through, of course, but we still need more representation there. And so I think that when I was acting and modeling, I was kind of like the token Asian woman in a lot of these projects, which was fine for me because I was getting paid to do it and it was great. But I was still a really small subset compared to the rest. And I'm in the Pacific Northwest and there's quite a bit of Asians here. Yes, there's, um, majority are white people, but I think that there's still a lack of representation in general.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's beautiful that first of all you recognize that, and in order to break through and be the catalyst for change, you yourself are trying to, break through that bamboo gap or glass ceiling or whatever it is, break through those walls. And they always say, you open up the window, you crawl in, you open up the door and let the rest of them come through. And so you're doing that, but how do you go beyond that and reach the other women out there who may not have that platform, like you said, or the voice?
Well, I think that I can only do so much. And I hope that I can perhaps inspire women who may not have that platform or that voice, and maybe they'll find their way. Like I can only do so much, and I can only reach so many people, but maybe through the work that I do, and I guess through my own experiences, maybe others can learn and
Mm,
create their own path and journey towards being seen, being heard,
yeah,
invisible.
yeah. And I agree with you because when we see somebody that's like ourselves, who's achieving something big, then it gives us hope. And I remember growing up, and the person I saw was Connie Chung, right, on TV. And that inspired me to want to go into journalism and,
Wow.
be the next Connie or the next whatever Amy, but be somebody. And I think that is so important to have that mirror of reflection. And even with books, like oftentimes when we pick up books, yeah, there's cute little animals that portray these human characteristics. But how often do we see books that show, a little Vietnamese girl or,
Yeah.
right? I mean, so that's super important. And you're kind of doing it all. I mean, like I said, you're the scientist, the author, the artist, fashion designer, like all these things. But at the end of the day, how do you dovetail that all together, connect all these passions of yours to present yourself as this one ginormous mega brand?
It's a tall order, right?
Yeah.
And I think that each endeavor, each project, each passion and goal, they do have to be separated at a certain point. I can't do everything everywhere all at once, right? So if, for example, for school, like there's a good 12 years of my life that I focused solely on getting my master's and then my PhD. And then, but within that, I did find some time or freedom to explore acting and modeling.
Mm,
That was within my PhD program. So as a PhD student, I did have a little bit of time, even though I was busy, but um, I had the flexibility to do that. So it's like something has to give at some point, and I do think it's good to try to focus on one thing at a time. You really can't do it all at once. It's just too difficult. So one project at a time to focus your energy and your strength. And I guess you're like, well, you're doing all these things, and how does that all connect at the end of the day? And it's just, well, I just was able to organize in a fashion where I was able to do these things at different chapters of my life, and now here we are.
yeah. I think part of the connection is, I mean, it's you're multifaceted, right? You're not a one-dimensional person. We have our goals, we have our aspirations, our ups and downs, our challenges, whatever. And it's all rooted in the core of you, of Juliet Dang, right? And I think that's really beautiful. And there's balance. You're right. Like, there's going to be times when you focus on motherhood. There can be times you focus on, your art or whatever it is. But anyways, I want to talk a little bit about modern Asian mom. I have a personal interest in that book as your publisher and editor, but also, and I was at your book signing, which again, a beautiful, beautiful event. What was there a specific moment that you realized you need to write this book? What sparked the idea?
Well, it all spurred off of the IVF and fertility journey. I felt the need to chronicle all of the activities that I was doing for some reason. I think I wanted to chronicle it because it was like a whole other job for me. It was like a whole other side project where just so much of my time and energy where it was being spent on trying to procreate. And I never thought that I would ever have to come to a point where I'm expending time, funds, and energy, as I mentioned. And it's just, so I wanted to write it down. I didn't want to forget. And so it kind of became this like diary. And then when I did finally deliver, I was like, okay, I'll continue to journal, especially because we were also in the midst of a pandemic.
Hmm.
And that was unprecedented, of course. And so I felt like that dynamic would be an interesting one to talk about. Um, and then pieces of my book evolved into speaking about being a new mom, friendships during motherhood, and and then even talking about ex boyfriends or exes, and because where you where I was, everything that I've learned throughout my past is where I am today. And so I think that it was just only natural for me to speak about some of the life pieces that added to it all.
Yeah. Wow. Um, I'm going to pivot a little bit. Let's talk about your
Oh,
scientist's career. I find that fascinating. And I think you're maybe the second scientist I've ever met. Um, seriously. And
wow.
yeah, I mean, you hear engineers, you hear, financial planners, blah, blah, blah.
Uh-huh.
Um, but the fact that you're Asian, the fact that you're a woman, the fact that you're in STEM scientist, being a scientist, makes you a unicorn in my world. And so tell me what drove you to get into that field, what continues to drive your curiosity in that field.
That's super sweet of you to say. Thank you, Amy. I think the only person that has called me a unicorn is like my husband.
Aw.
But so I have always known that I would be a scientist or within the healthcare world. I just knew from an early age when I was like 8 years old, I asked Santa for a chemistry lab kit.
Hmm. Wow.
So
Remember?
yeah, I just knew early on that I had this kind of like scientific analytical mindset maybe. And then so when I was in high school and then university, a lot of it was like pre-med, pre-dental, pre-pharmacy courses. And I excelled in them because that's just something that I guess was always innate for me, perhaps. And so during my undergrad days, I never thought that I would ever want to do research or further myself into the academic world as much as I had. But then I was like, well, I would love to have doctor as a title. And so I tried to get into medicine, and I was just really bad at the MCAT. And then I almost got into dentistry at one point, but then that didn't work out either. So I was like, okay, well, I'll continue on with oral health sciences because I did get a dental hygiene diploma. And then I was like, well, I need to further myself in this. I can't just be a dental hygienist. This is not, it's very physically demanding.
Mhm.
And I'm just not cut out for it. I think I was even getting carpal tunnel, and it's just bad on your neck and your back and such. And so I continued on with my academics and I moved from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. I'm originally from Canada, born and raised. Came to Seattle to do my graduate studies at the Seattle campus, University of Washington. And yeah, so I did a master's and then I was like, okay, I want to continue on with research. And it was actually something that surprised me. I didn't think I would ever like research, but I loved it because it was kind of like this little game where you're trying to figure something out. You have a hypothesis and you're like, am I wrong? Am I right? Am I going to find new types of HPV? So my thesis was focused on finding new types of cancer causing human papillomaviruses in head and neck cancer patients. And the experiments that I would do within the lab, and just, I guess it's kind of like this eureka moment where you're like, oh my gosh, I have results from something that I collected from a patient. I processed it in the lab. I ran it through a computer, PCR machine, and I have
Mhm.
these results, and it's telling me something. And I potentially found three new types of HPVs, which could cause cancer. And so
Mm.
there's a lot of HPVs already that are out there, but not all of them are classified. And so it was just a really exciting discovery for me. And so yeah, so all of my experiences from university days and then going on to graduate studies, it was something that was natural for me, and I think it's because I loved to be a student. I
Mm.
love learning. I had to develop critical thinking skills, and so I feel like I was probably naturally a critical thinker anyways, but I definitely developed those along the way. And so, yeah, for me it's just a natural step.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Do you ever feel like you're on a hamster wheel where you're like researching, and nothing comes to fruition? Or does something eventually break?
There's a lot of repetition when it comes to lab work, and it's very redundant, and it can get kind of stale and boring, but that's why for me being in the lab wouldn't be sustainable. But at the time, yes, you're kind of like on this hamster wheel, and then you're having to repeat some of the experience or experiments that you've done, which was annoying, but it's just you got to do it. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Not all jobs are roses all the time, right? So there's always going to be that. Um,
Right.
how do you think your scientific background influences the way you approach motherhood or just your entrepreneurship and creativity?
Well, I feel like as a scientist, you have to be pretty meticulous and I guess more type A. And for the creative side, it's actually pretty different. So I'm definitely switching sides to the brain that I'm utilizing when I do my science as compared to my art. And so when I go to my artistic side, I become much less type A, much less meticulous. Like, so there's definitely this, like, I guess, demarcation or this separation for me, but there are, I think, instances where there will be some intersection or intermingling
Mm.
of the parts of my brain, and that's probably more so when it comes to perhaps the business side of my art stuff, like, because it's not just making the art. You have to market yourself, you have to be your own business person, and so I think that's where it comes in. But when we're talking about the actual creation of the art, I really have to decrease or just stop that analytical side a little bit. But there's
Hmm.
some of that because there's a planning, right? Where I'm creating art and I have to plan what I'm doing, colors, the way I'm mixing. So that part does come in as well. I guess that scientific regimen, if you will. So I think at times there could be this intermixing, but for the most part, my scientific and my artistic side, they are pretty separate usually.
Mm-hmm. Did you find that there was a big learning curve of some sort to create the art that you wanted to and turn it into a business?
I think for yeah, that was definitely like a bit of learning for me, but I think the hardest part was actually the way I created my art. I took a whole year to figure out a certain recipe for the paints that I would mix and what I would include in them. And so I guess in a sense, this is also a scientific part. Like, how much oil am I including? How much of this mixture of acrylics do I want? Is the consistency fluid enough? Am I going to make a painting that looks like mud? Am I like, I have to keep these separate? And yeah, so yeah, I actually forgot what I was talking about.
That's okay. Do you have a gallery of some sort that you showcase your work or an online shop?
Yeah, Etsy. So
Okay.
I have my own Etsy and I have my own website that I manage.
Yeah. And are these specifically limited pieces or is there a way that you actually are able to mass produce them and fulfill the orders?
Well, I don't usually need to do any mass production because my fashion items are not flying off the shelves or anything, but so it's just like made to order. Yeah, it's a made to
Hmm.
order on the Etsy with my dresses and activewear and other merchandise.
So do you take most of the art pieces that you have, do you transfer that into some kind of merch where it's activewear or dresses?
That actually takes thought and processing. So, not all of what I create can or it may not make sense to create into a fashionable item or even like a bag.
Hmm.
So during my painting process, I'm usually capturing what is happening. And so when I capture my art, it has to be wet. If it's not wet, it loses its vibrancy and dimension.
Mm.
So when I have my art piece and I'm done painting it and it's still wet, I'm able to see and compose myself as to which aspects I think would really look amazing. And so it's really just about what stands out for me and what I think is just so organically magical.
Do you go into these creations with the intent of a theme? Like, is it a nod to, let's say, your cultural heritage in the Vietnamese diaspora, or is it, I just feel like having bubble gum today, so I'm going to create something that is, that speaks to bubble gum? I mean, what's your process there?
It's actually for me about colors. So I think that when I'm creating a piece, it's my soul speaking to the world somehow.
Hmm.
And so internally, I'm saying, okay, I want this color, and this color. And I think that will look great. So it comes from within. And I'm not going with, oh, what can I do and what will this symbolize? It's more of just feelings of color. Yeah. I just need to grab a tissue. Hold on.
Yes.
My nose is like running.
So I'm wearing one of your pieces, which I absolutely love. I love the feel of it. I love the color. I love the way it makes me feel, which is confident, vibrant, and all that stuff. I'm kind of curious to know, how did you go from this to end up being on a fashion, on the stage in New York for Fashion Week?
Yeah. Well, so the progression for me to transfer my artwork onto fashion items or clothing was pretty natural. I knew I wanted to do it at some point. And then I loved just I loved seeing my models on the runway. There's a lot of energy, and even though it's like a really short period of time, there's this, I guess there's a certain sense of reward or satisfaction that comes along with all of the steps that you took to get there. And you see it in its, I guess, finality, and it's just so um I don't know, it's magic, I guess.
Hmm.
And well, so I had done runways and fashion shows in the Seattle area, and I knew I wanted to take it to something bigger, like a fashion week. And Asian New York Fashion Week was actually a new thing when I had applied for it. So they were only on their second season. They did it once before, and then they were on their second year. And I connected with the director there, and she accepted my application. And there is a fee to participate, of course, but I thought it was worth it. Yeah, so I created, I think, up to 16 to 18 new pieces just for the New York Fashion Week. And it was such a great experience. I wanted to do something really big with my art, and I think that that was one of the best ways to do it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful way to tie it all in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you handpick your models?
I did. Yeah.
Hmm.
So there was a roster, and I was able to choose from this roster. And when I do choose, I try to choose models of color, because there I also feel there's a huge lack of representation. And I think that's what's so great about Asian New York Fashion Week is they have a very full roster of Asian people.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think I remember seeing it wasn't just Asian models. I mean, they were kind of, you know, a rainbow of
Yep.
people, which
Yeah.
is
The
beautiful.
BIPOC community for sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Wow, that's amazing. Um, okay, let's talk a little bit more about your book.
Okay.
Modern Age Mom. Do you have a copy with you that maybe you can read an excerpt for us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So first of all, tell us what it's about.
Oh, okay. Well, Modern Asian Mom is a memoir, and it's really about
Mm.
how I became pregnant with my first child and how I got there and the fertility journey that I was on. But then from that, it expanded to other parts of my life: love, friendship, life itself, the pandemic.
Mm.
And yeah, I think it's just my perspective on the experiences that I had becoming a new parent.
Okay.
Right. Infertility, inability to conceive children or young. I have a big problem with utilizing the term infertility for women who have fully functioning reproductive organs with perfectly normal hormonal levels and who, for unknown reasons, have not become pregnant yet. Just because you haven't been pregnant doesn't mean you don't have viable eggs. I feel the traditional definition is too general, and there are varying levels of inability to conceive. There seems to be a spectrum. Perhaps the fallopian tubes are blocked by mucus, restricting sperm from traveling to the golden egg. This is a physical blockage, not a woman who should be labeled as infertile. For women who have to go through IVF and use their eggs, I would not consider them to be infertile. This definition is archaic and does not fully encompass the complexity of the female reproductive system, nor the nuances of procreation. According to the World Health Organization, infertility is a disease of the reproductive system defined by the failure to achieve a clinical pregnancy after 12 months or more of regular unprotected sexual intercourse. So, WHO thinks I have a disease because I haven't become pregnant in a bloody year. Not only was I considered geriatric in my reproductive years, but now I had a disease. How much worse can we feel as women who are trying to conceive? These clinical definitions are incomprehensible. I know plenty of women who hadn't conceived until their 40s. Did that mean they were then cured of their so-called disease? I couldn't help but wonder if male OB-GYNs defined this term. Did you know J. Marion Sims, a white man who did experimental surgery on enslaved Black women without anesthesia, founded gynecology? There are no words to describe this horror, and I'm so glad that New York City took down his statue in 2018. If more women healthcare professionals were part of actually doing gynecological research, I believe we would have more answers and more knowledge on women's reproductive health. The same goes for men's reproductive health. How many studies are being done on this population? It is convenient to blame the woman and her eggs because we don't have the data to clarify further.
Mm. You wrote this book so fearlessly, because it really is very candid conversation. It's very, I mean, your sleeves are bare, like I'm
They
wondering,
are.
um, I'm wondering for those who have read it, whether it was your critique team, your beta readers, your early, advanced readers, whatever, because the book is newly out, so there might not be too many readers, but are there any challenges that they present to you, these new readers, in terms of what they feel about the book, what the messaging is, or are they pretty much embracing, everything that you're saying?
Yeah, I think it's hard to decipher any sort of constructive criticism right now. However, I feel like I forewarn people before they read the book. I'm like, just let you know, it's very candid, and but people are very supportive. They're like, it should be candid, and I love that. And
Mm-hmm.
I had one of my male friends actually, he read it. He said he read it in a night and even wrote a
Wow.
review for me, which was, I was so grateful for that review. And it was just, the words were very kind. And he's like, I felt like I had a conversation with a good friend all night about
Mm-hmm.
their experiences on their journey. And so even though it was quite candid, I guess I do wonder if people appreciate the vulnerability that I had
Mm-hmm.
exuded, I guess. And I do fear that anything might come back and bite me, but it's these are all honest words. Then we're all human. And so if if anyone's offended by anything, I apologize, but I I try to lead with as much empathy in general, but I think that, yeah, as a woman who is going through all of these hormone injections and then becoming pregnant and then feeling all these other things, it's
Mm-hmm.
a lot. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is.
Well, I think it's natural to get resistance. You're going to have your cheerleaders, you're going to have those who are the naysayers.
Yes,
And I think that's just part of the work that we do. I mean, it's not science where it's like black and white, right? It really is a spectrum where you're going to have those people who judge your art, judge your
totally.
bathroom, judge your words. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I know. And I'm a little fearful of it, but I I was being me and either you like it or you don't. So
yeah, yeah. Well, being an author myself, I actually celebrated the first time I received a one-star review on my book. And I'll tell you why, Juliet, is because I reached someone beyond my community and my inner circle, right? Because
Yes.
your friends and your family, they want to love you and support you, and they want to give you those reviews
Yep.
that make you feel good. But
Yep.
then when you have someone who it just didn't resonate with them, or they just, couldn't understand your messaging, or they have a different background perspective, whatever,
Hmm.
and they give you that 1, 2, 3 star review, I'm like, all right, bring it on. Because now I'm reaching an audience outside of my circle, and that's the intent at the end of the day. Is we once we release our book, for example, it no longer belongs to us, right? It belongs to the world. And how they interpret it, that's that's on them, and that's okay. So I'm gonna celebrate if you ever get that first 1 star review.
Well, you know what they say is any press is good press,
There
right?
you go.
It's it it really just builds upon those algorithms too, right? Because even
Yeah.
negative comments, it's gonna boost you in a certain way regardless, and bring attention and more visibility. So the other part to this though is I think that it's good to get constructive criticism. I know there's a lot of trolls out there, but
Mhm.
if this criticism is well thought out and well articulated, I think feedback is always great.
Mhm. Yeah.
And people don't like feedback. So it's
I know they say they want feedback, but do they really, right? Yeah.
right.
But I think there's also a good way to deliver the feedback. So for
Yeah.
those who are actually critiquing and writing the reviews and stuff, they say, please sandwich your feedback, right? Start with the positive, give us the constructive criticism, then end it on a good note for us, please. Um, because you can, at the end of the day, totally bash an author, bash
Yeah.
the book, and just complain all day, but not have anything constructive to help us be better writers, to help us, whatever.
Hmm.
So I think that's very important. But
Yeah, execution is key.
mhm, mhm. Okay, so I want to also talk about your magazine.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Your magazine, I have a copy of it, and I think I showed it to you. It's actually framed and it's in my house.
Oh,
I love it. And I also love that you collaborated with one of our or artists, I should say, in the community with Hate is a Virus.
yes.
Yeah, I think that's was it
The
Dizzy?
cover work.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
What is next for you in terms of the Vietology magazine?
Well, I really would love to do a second edition, and I had some ideas in my head already for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I became pregnant this year. And so it's like I needed to launch my book, and then I had other visions for my magazine. But now things are, I think, going to be put on hold for a little bit because of the new baby to come in the fall. So the projects are still in my head, and it's not just Vietology. You were asking me, I think, one time, you're like, are you going to write more books? And I was like, yes, I want to. And so
Mm-hmm.
I briefly started a first chapter of another book. And this would be a fiction novel,
Ooh.
actually. Yeah. And so it's like so many ideas, so much time and energy I can expend.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it'll be a while. I hope not too long.
Yeah. Well, you've got a lot on your plate.
I do. Yes, it's just the whole thing of like you want to accomplish so many things, but like I said, it's just one at a time.
Yeah, yeah. So can you give us a little teaser on this little fiction piece that you're working on? What kind of fiction?
Well, I through life and the different chapters of my life, we go through a variety of friendships, and I feel like friendships with between women can be really intriguing and dramatic. And so I feel like I've had my fair share that I would love to put in a book.
Mhm.
Hopefully, people won't recognize their experience, but it's fictions, right? So it'll play off of some of the experiences I had and then embellished in a certain way, right?
Yeah.
So I'm fascinated by how female friendships evolve and the demise of them,
Mm,
why and how. And I just think it's just so it's like having tea with your girlfriends and just spilling it, right?
yeah.
It's like the
Wow.
juicy gossip.
I love it. I think, well, let me ask you about your family because you've got so much on your plate and in your head and all the things that you want to accomplish, which is amazing. How do you balance all that and juggle because you've got Tobin, you've got your husband, you got a baby on the way.
Um,
Yeah.
it that's why everything takes so long. It's like, everything takes a long time just because of regular normal life,
Hmm.
right? And so I really try to manage my time and spend quality time with my family, even prioritizing my friends. I think that, and that's part of why, or part, like, I have parts of that in my modern Asian mom, and then I'll probably have parts of it in my fiction. I believe that we need to prioritize our friendships, and I don't feel like a lot of people do that, or
Mm,
they just don't have that intention. And maybe that's a certain expectation I have for the relationships I have with other people. But when I have this connection with someone or I'm nurturing this friendship, like it takes time, it takes energy. And that to me is sacred. And I don't feel like people embrace that enough, or they, I don't even know if they even care about it enough.
mm,
So I think that's another reason why I want to write this book, is because these relationships in your life are important. It's not just about your partner, or your kids. It's also your village that you
mm.
create for yourself. But anyhow, back to your question. Yeah, I don't, the times that I have to write are really small amounts of time, and I just have to fit it in when I can.
Yeah.
It'll be when like Mike is taking Tobin out to like swim or something, or but then I have to also be in the right mindset. But I know that you also have to push yourself. You have to be disciplined to do that as well
Mm.
as a writer. So it's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're not only nurturing these relationships, right? But you've got to nurture that relationship with yourself. You've
Yeah.
got relationships with just, and again, it's not just relationships with people, it's your interaction with your soul, your core, your mentality. And one of the things I love about your book was that you really, really pushed for self-care. Like that was, if that was one of the big themes in the book, it was take care of yourself. What
Yes.
does your self-care routine look like for you?
All I want to do is lie in bed and watch TV. It's just
And yet somehow I don't think you can do that because you're just
we
so a
actually,
go-getter.
I feel like my husband and I try to like make time for that. So after Tobin goes to bed, which he kind of goes to bed late, I don't know why. He wants to stay up. He has FOMO or something. I don't know. It's like, but we we definitely try to just like relax and turn our brains off a little bit, because I think that's
Mhm.
important too, just to unwind. And so my self-care is like watching TV in my bed.
Yeah.
It's like,
And there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. It
yeah.
also seems to me that you travel a lot. Is that true?
I travel a lot for work,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I'm at the airport like once a week. And but I also like to travel for vacation as well. So yes, traveling is a huge thing for me. Um, yeah, I think that it's so important to get out of your bubble.
Mm-hmm.
see the world and experience different cultures and shop.
Yes. Where you get inspired too, right? You got to see
No,
the world.
entirely. Yeah, I think that we are so just ingrained to have this routine and this schedule, and that can be monotonous. And I think that you need to shake things up every now and then. You need to reset and recharge in order to do a good job at like your work, at your life. So you have to break that routine at some point because things can get stale. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like status quo is it has a time and a place. Like I think stability is good, but I also feel like we need to get out there and grow, continue to nurture our soul and just experience different things and be in a different space. And I also feel like just those experiences itself, travel makes you grateful for what you have and the stability at home. Because you kind of
Mm-hmm.
miss that, right? You're out and about for like, I don't know, 10 days, couple weeks, and then you come back and you're like, oh, I love my house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no place like home. It's great to have those adventures, but it's good to have a place to hang your hat and feel grounded,
Mhm.
and centered. So, and that's a blessing for sure to be able to do that.
Yes.
I know that our podcast interview together has been like kind of all over the place. And and it's because you're so fascinating to me. You're very interesting. And so that's why I feel like I'm all over the place with you. But one of the things that I love to do are lightning rounds. And
Oh,
so I have a few questions for you. I'm going to ask them. You can just say whatever is at the top of your head, okay?
okay.
Okay. What's a Vietnamese dish that you could have every day?
I love bun xeo. So for those who
Ah,
don't know what bun xeo is, it's like the Vietnamese savory crepe.
yeah, I had that
It's so good.
yesterday. Can you make bun xào where it's crunchy on the inside and kind of savory on the inside?
I don't make it.
Okay. I'm still
I go
trying
to
to
the
figure that out.
restaurant and I eat it. but
Same.
but I think that I should make it because I think I would do a good job. Or at least I
I think
hope I
you
would.
could. The scientists and the artists combined to make the bun xào, right? And played it very well too. Okay. That's my homework assignment. For you is the action item. Okay, another one is what book changed you and how you think about the world?
Oh, that's a hard one. Let me see. I'm like looking at my bookshelf.
You can't cheat and say your book.
No. Well, I think that there are authors that I have fallen in love with, and that I just either the writing is entertaining to me or so eloquent and so lovely. So like Helen Huang,
Mm-hmm.
who she has like this trilogy, right? And so I found her books to be so entertaining but also educational because she's speaking about Asian people with autism, right? And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that's a world that some people may not know of. And
Yeah.
so she's shining a light on that and creating visibility for this population. And she herself, I believe, is on the spectrum. And
Mm-hmm.
so I love her work. I saw Ocean Vuong,
I'm so jealous. Let's
yeah, in
put it out there.
Seattle.
Yeah.
And he's pretty amazing as well. And just to hear him speak and articulate his experiences and his writing and his poetry
Mm-hmm.
was incredible. So he's, as Oprah said, he's one of our national treasures,
Yeah.
which is such an amazing and astonishing thing to hear about a Vietnamese writer, a Vietnamese person,
Poet. Yeah. Who is,
poet, like
yeah.
just anybody who is Vietnamese to be spoken of in such a manner nationwide, globally, is
Mhm.
just enormous.
Yeah, I totally concur with you.
Hmm.
One of the things that Ocean said that resonated with me was, he's lived his life basically in 2 days. And I don't know if you heard that before, but
Mm-mm.
he's lived his life in 2 days. And what he meant by that is yesterday he had a mom, today he doesn't,
Mm.
and so I'm getting all choked up just thinking about it because your life is unfolding and defined sometimes by that one person that means so much to you, you know. And so in those span of 2 days, his life has just evolved so dramatically and fulfilled in
Yeah.
ways, right? But
And that is something I can definitely empathize with because my own mother had unexpectedly passed away within like 48 hours.
mm,
So I do think that life is can be just so insane where you think it's going a certain way and there's always like this shock or this surprise. And yeah, there's definitely these moments where things can experiences events can be entirely life changing and the journey of grief is ongoing. It's just
it truly is. And that's what it is. It's a journey. And it's just, you just keep going. Um,
yeah.
okay, fashion icon that you admire.
Yeah, that I don't know if I have an answer for that one. I feel like there are fashion designers where I respect their work, like Alexander McQueen, his work, and but then as for an icon, I when I think of an icon, I actually think about Hello Kitty.
Mm, yes. No, that's totally right. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so maybe that is like, and she has impact on fashion and pop culture.
Yeah,
Maybe it's Hello Kitty.
I love it. That's a great answer, actually. Okay, a lab experiment gone hilariously wrong.
I don't know if there's something that went hilariously wrong, but when you contaminate an experiment, it's
Mm,
really annoying. So
mm.
it's not funny. It's just irritating.
Yeah, I bet. And probably costly, not just the time, but resources or whatever.
Well, you just have to redo the experiment. It's okay. Actually, you're right. It depends. There there was a part of my experiment where it this experiment cost $10,000 at the time
Mm,
to do one run. And if anything got botched up in there, that's $10,000. So
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Two more for you. Favorite childhood memory of all time.
Oh, I think that it's just the feeling I get during Christmas.
Mm,
So I love Christmas time and we're not religious people. In fact, like my mom and father practice Buddhism, and so I guess I'm a Buddhist just because it was in the household. But Christmas was just so, I don't know, it felt magical and mesmerizing all at once. And there's just like warm feelings about
hmm
Christmas
hmm
that I have. And it's probably because of my mom.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, what about your favorite place to travel?
Northern Italy. So, Northern Italy is definitely on, I guess, my top three favorite places. And that's like the Dolomites area. It's
Hmm
just, it's so glorious. And I think that I feel this sort of energy when there are huge mountains surrounding me. And it's just peaceful and serene. And the food is incredible. It's all fresh, it's local, it's probably all organic too.
hmm
And so just their way of life
Hmm.
seems at ease.
Yeah.
And it's just a great place to relax and yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Well, as we're coming up to our hour, was there anything that you wanted to chat about that we didn't cover? Like,
Not that I can think of at the moment. I think, though, what I would love to do is speak about my appreciation for you, Amy,
Oh,
during this whole authorship journey, the editing, all of the social media stuff. I am so grateful to be on this path with you and and
thank
gain
you.
all of the experience that you've had and the advice and the insight and just the friendship and support and love. I really am so grateful for that and so thankful. And I couldn't imagine doing it with anyone else. And I'm so glad it was with you. So
Thank you.
thank you.
That's very beautiful. Thank you so much. Anyway, no cheers here. Um,
Oh,
what's next for you and where can people find you?
I don't know if they'll find me for a while.
You just
Well,
little
on my
baby
social
coming.
media, I'm pretty sure I'll continue to update my Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. So you can find me on Instagram, and for sure, I think it's just Juliet underscore Dang, and that's probably the first place where I'll update anything. I have a TikTok, but that's TikTok's an entity on its own.
Yes, yes, it is. We'll start with Instagram.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, just you can follow me there and I'll hopefully keep people up to date. But I think that my energy has decreased and I have to preserve it
Yeah,
for this new baby. So I'll probably have to just lay low for a bit and just
yeah, yeah,
focus on my own self-care.
absolutely, as you should. But
Mhm.
congratulations again on baby
Thank
number two.
you.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Juliet, for coming on to the show. And you truly are inspiring. You truly are a testament to the beauty of living a multi-dimensional life. Um, whether it's in the lab, on the runway, on the pages of your book or your magazine or whatever, you're really bold. And I love that about you. You're very layered. There's not just one dimension to you. And you're very real. I know this because I met you now. Um, so, listeners, today's episode, if that sparked something in you and you loved it, please do share, please subscribe, please give us a review. And please do also a favor for yourself and pick up Modern Asian Mom. It's not just about fertility and IVF. It really is about motherhood. It's about taking care of yourself, being authentic and true. So pick up a copy, read it, write a review. Don't give her that 1-star review because I will hunt you down. But until next time, stay curious, my friends, stay courageous, and keep reaching for your quixotic height dream, whatever that may be. Thank you, Juliet.
Thank you, Amy.